Happy Devils Thursday. Breaking news. Tom Fitzgerald and Matt Loughlin have spoken. We are going to recap the black and red banter with interim GM Tom Fitzgerald. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Nick Villano, Pucks and Pitchforks editor-in-chief, as we have just watched the season ticket holder live video on YouTube. Tom Fitzgerald speaking, and I got to tell you, before we begin, that just want to thank the fine folks at Nova Product Design that makes this happen every day. Seems like in the past couple of weeks, helping us power our live video stream every time we do these podcasts. Much appreciated from Primetime Radio and now simulcasting on the Primetime Radio Network. Nick, at first when I watched the live video, I was kind of laughing, but man, there was some good stuff about prospects and what the Devils are doing and just some of the details. So let's just start from the top. What did you think of that live interview with Matt Loughlin and Tom Fitzgerald?
Well, first of all, I think it's pretty light out for it to be live.
Stop it. I mean, I'm trying to get my lighting just like theirs, like right now. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah. Where are they, on the West Coast in a bunker somewhere? I mean, I was like, wow.
Live from Singapore over there. I don't know what's going on. But hey, it looked like Tom Fitzgerald was in his coronavirus bunker. So, you know, there's two main. I mean, if you want me to, do you want me to just jump right in? Because there's two main things that I think I got out of this.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the first thing that it sounds like nobody knows what's going on when it comes to conditional picks, because
That's
the
correct.
Devils of all teams is the team that's most in play. Actually, I got three things out of it. Obviously, the conditional picks, but kind of tied to the conditional picks, Tom Fitzgerald says he doesn't want a 2014 playoff, which is confusing because a 2014 playoff would mean that Arizona would make it, which would disqualify them from the lottery, and Batman's back on the armoire or whatever this thing is called. I don't know, wall unit, I guess. So he's making an appearance, but so Arizona would make them ineligible for the draft lottery, and they'd probably get ousted pretty quickly. So that would lock in that 10th pick. Carolina would make it, which if Sammy Vatanen plays 70% of their games, which is if it's in like a single elimination tournament, means one game, or if it's a 3-game tournament, means you have to play 3 games. Then they'd get the 3rd round pick in this year, which they don't have currently. And then obviously Vancouver would make it, which would lock them in for the 17th pick if Vancouver doesn't make a miraculous run to like the Stanley Cup or something, or the Western Conference Finals. So I feel like it's short-sighted for him to say something like, "I don't want a 2014 playoff. I want to play games." I feel like that's the short-sighted kind of play, kind of moves that have hurt us in the past, like looking for the short-term happiness feeling over the long-term what would be best for the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I was really listening closely what he would say about these conditional picks. There is no easy answer, and I'm also superstitious, and when a black cat crosses the screen on our live feed and you're talking about our draft picks of 2020, Nick, it gets me pissed off. But anyway, getting back.
Sam, we got 2 black cats here. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to be a little bit more dramatic on our live podcast right now with our audience, which, by the way, John Garazzo writes, LMAO, love the shirt, Sam. Yeah, it just so happens I'm just wearing this T-shirt today. I'm not really plugging. It's just I've gotten a little bigger since I've been in isolation. I've been eating more sugary foods, and I started to get a little bigger. And this shirt happened to be fitting all with SG Apparel. Shorts guy, he made this T-shirt for me. Anyway, so and it was very interesting that he was going about the prospect pools, and then Matt Loughlin asked the question, how what do you think about this draft, and Fitzgerald basically answered back, the first round's great, but I don't know anything, afterwards. But look, if that's
Which
the
is
case,
scary.
It's scary, but at the same time, let's start with number one. If that's the case, you better get those damn draft picks, those conditional picks. I don't know what you need to do with Gary Bettman and Bill Daly and the league. You better get those picks if they are that great. I don't think Vancouver made it to the playoffs. Or did they? No, they did make it to the playoffs. I don't care.
They made it based off point percentage, but they didn't make it based off total points. So it would all depend on how they would figure that out.
Yeah, and the Coyotes, I think that should be a 4th overall pick, in my opinion. I know I'm being biased, and hopefully the Devils will be in the top 3. That's what I want, and I don't want those dreams taken away from me because I want those picks. And I can't, it gets me mad, although it's nobody's fault of our own, but you got to fight for it. You got to do something. I mean, if we need to have a GoFundMe to bribe the league to give us those 3 picks in the top 15 or 16, let's do it. But anyway, I get emotional with it because the season was starting to blossom for me, where the team is starting to play better, and we got these picks coming around for 2020, and then it's just the uncertainty of just this whole thing. And I know we're talking about hockey here because there's a lot of things going on in this world that's a little bit more important, but into the hockey sense, I want those 3 picks. I want that 1st overall pick, and I want to have at least a chance instead of, I don't know, are they going to flip a coin, Nick? I don't even know how to handle it, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that the fairest way is that if you don't finish at the regular season, which I just don't see how you can. Even if this, I don't know, even if you do the bunker thing, you finish out the regular season, like I've said it before, and I'll say it here, if you put, what is it? It's 30 players per team, 31 teams. That's 930 players, and you put them all in a hotel. It takes one Tinder date to ruin it for everybody. That means if one person gets in that hotel with coronavirus, season's over. See you later. You can take out entire teams with one mistake, and some of these guys are 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. They're going to make mistakes. So,
absolutely.
I don't think that it's. I don't want to say wise, because there's much smarter people taking care of this than me that are looking into what these options mean. But I feel like they're I don't know if they're if I want to call them contingency plans or what. I just feel like that they finishing out the regular season just seems like adding risk when it's not necessary. Like the Devils, he just wants to play spoiler, is what he said. And I get the concept of that, but correct me if I'm wrong, Sam. Is it not more of a motivator for these players to get those games taken away and forever wondering what could have been? It's like, imagine if they just would have let us play out those games, then always having that as a motivator over played those games and then ending the season on a kind of note, hey, come play some meaningless games. I feel like it's more of a motivator for these young players to it's almost like the fear of loss kind of gets put into their souls, and I feel like that if they play again and they just go back on the ice and you ask Travis Zajac, it's like, hey, come back away from your family and get locked in this hotel for a month while New Jersey gets demolished by this coronavirus, and can play some games that mean absolutely nothing to your career. I just think it's a zero-sum game, and I think it's actually more beneficial to the players to not play.
I mean, there are some scenarios, wild scenarios going in my head. Let's ask Facebook Live, Twitter Periscope, YouTube Live, and Twitch right now. What would you do to resolve this whole conditional draft picks issue? I mean, some of the things that I was thinking was make a phone call to EA Sports, or is there some kind of analytics or some kind of technology that we could do and have all 31 teams agree on? Okay, we're going to put it in this. This is kind of a crapshoot. And it's not our fault, but hey, let the simulation tell us where the chips may lie, and just live with it. Because honestly, I can't think of any other fair way.
That's absolutely not happening. That's not happening.
I know that, but that's the only fair way. There's only fair way. I mean, other than, how is that not fair? I want to know.
To let a video game that nobody's playing decide who's getting drafted. Take the standings as they are.
I didn't say video game. I said or some kind of analytics or some kind of computer system. I don't know what Central Scouting has. I don't know what you can do.
They would just use the standings as they are, if anything. Here's what you need to worry about. You remember the lockout shortened season, not the lockout shortened season, the lockout canceled season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't every team get in the lottery that year?
Yes, and there's been this conspiracy theory that one of the ping pong balls was frozen as it was not televised as it was happening, and it just conveniently, Mario Lemieux's hand shifted Gary Bettman's hand and picked up Sidney Crosby. I'm just kidding around, but that's how I feel.
Hey, those same rumors happened to the Knicks. So with Patrick Ewing, they had the frozen envelope.
So maybe they should base it on the standings now with this complex lottery system to see where the standings lie before you get to the draft lottery system. That's not a bad idea. I don't know. I can live with it.
I also don't know if that would hurt or help the Devils, because the Devils are 6th right now. I think 6th is about. I think that's the one where it drops off, and I think they have only. I had to double check, but I think they only have like a 6% chance of making the lottery. But maybe they're the one. Maybe the one after that jumps down. I got to double check, but I think that it's either they either have a 6 or a 10% chance of getting the top 3. But if you add more teams, would you weigh it more for the teams that are out of the playoffs and need the players more, or would you take away? Like, are you giving the Red Wings, say, like an even bigger chance now, or are those more teams going to start chipping away at those top teams? And I think it's actually going to be the latter, where the Devils could see their chances going lottery about 10%. Go down to about 4% or 5% or 6%. And then, more teams, even if you give the Lightning a 1% chance or a 0.5% chance and a 0.3% chance to the Bruins and things like that, that percentage has to come from somewhere. And I think it obviously has to come from those bottom teams. So canceling the season has a lot of ramifications, and it can have some wild results. And as we've seen, we saw the Rangers jump. What were they? They had like the 11th best chance at making a lottery last year, and they made it. I think that's what it was. It was something wild like that. So,
yeah. But you know what? It was disheartening to see Tom Fitzgerald he doesn't know. I didn't expect him to know, and I felt the pain because he doesn't know. And it's just like,
he might be on a better track than us. Like he seemed to know as much as we do. But in terms of that, in terms of what's going to happen with lottery picks, and maybe they haven't discussed it with the teams. But like he said, he's asked, or he's curious at least. So I had to imagine he's called the league and just been like, so what happens here? I understand that everybody has their priorities, and there's things that might distract from what you're trying to think of when it's hockey. But if he's working, I had to imagine he at least sent an email, right? NHL PR at NHL.com.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the Facebook Live. There's a lot of comments I just want to get to. Tony says it's pork roll, not Taylor jam. No, Tony, stop it. Chris Havlock.
Skip that one. Move on. Come on.
All right,
What are you
Chris
doing?
Havlock says, getting back to the Penguins, it almost felt like the NHL tipped the scale to help the Pens. I remember that back in 2005. Also, John writes, there's no real answer to this. It's crazy. Chris, again, writes, keeping the standings as they feel. I can't say that word too, though. So, keep the comments coming, and then just say, hey, if you like the podcast and you're just tuning in, share it on your personal news feeds or retweet it or whatever, because I want to get more comments, because we are the most commented Devils podcast in the history of New Jersey Devils podcast. We want to know, what to do with this. Also, from a PR perspective with Tom Fitzgerald, watching this live YouTube video with Matt Loughlin, he kind of won me over a little bit. One of the things I picked up was he's kind of a boring guy. I kind of like boring because it kind of reminds me a little bit of Lou. And did I hear that correct? And I should know this. Did he play for Lou in Providence? Was I hearing because
I missed that because I was talking. I think I heard that. I heard him talking about his playing days. And I'm not going to lie, I tuned out because, I'm there for the Devils talk. So I started tweeting about the other stuff he was talking about. So I came back and I heard him talking about playing against the Devils and playing against the Trap, playing against, those teams. So that's what I heard. I heard the parts where he was talking about playing against the Devils and playing against Stevens. And I think he mentioned Niedermeyer. So that's where I jumped back in. After I tweeted a couple things.
Yeah, Michael High writes, I don't even know how to pronounce say Michael He. No one asked Tom about coach status. I'm sure people asked about coach status, but this quote unquote live broadcast, it was sent specifically towards season ticket holders of the New Jersey Devils, or now they call it the Black and Red members. I don't know what fancy name they have for it. They sent this questionnaire or something like that, and just to ask questions. So obviously this was sorted through. Okay, maybe interim GM Tom Fitzgerald didn't want to answer it, or this was screened, and that's fine with me. But and that's to answer your question. I'm sure people ask like, what's going to happen with Nazardine, but really, you know what? That's for him to know and for us to find out, sort of thing. And I don't have a problem with that because that's just. I mean, I'd hate to have Naz find out through this YouTube live chat with Matt Loughlin that he's getting canned or he's staying. Like, that doesn't work that way. And right now, I don't even know if Tom Fitzgerald knows if he's staying. I mean, there's the interim tag still on there, so which I like, but he's starting to win me over a little bit, and he's reviewing. But the one thing that I just want to be ha-ha on, and again, it's not taking shots, is he's saying that what he's doing right now during this COVID situation, and Zooming with his colleagues, and Zoom is perfect as the damn thing is pixelated. So I thought that was kind of funny. Of course, I have to look at that kind of production side stuff. But other than that, I thought it was a great interview. After the start, it was a little bit fooling around, but once Matt got to it, reading some of these questions were actually very good, I thought, from the fans.
I mean,
perspective.
We haven't even gotten to the most important part of the call.
Well, why don't you get to it?
The one most important part of that entire call was the fact that they have a contingency plan in place for Ty Smith, and they revealed the fact that they're not sold, and that's what I took from it. And correct me if I'm wrong, Stan. Correct me if you took something else from it, and maybe perception is not reality here, but from what I perceived on that, after last year and after how bad the preseason went, he basically said, I need to be wowed by these prospects. And he was talking specifically about Smith, but he brought up Boquist and a couple other guys. But the question was specifically about Ty Smith and whether he sees him in the NHL. And he says, I hope he's NHL ready, But if not, we have a plan in place for him to play in the AHL, and he went into the plan to have him play in the AHL, which sounds to me like he has thought more about him playing in the AHL than he's thought about him playing in the NHL, which I look at two possible ways. In one way, maybe that tells me he's going to try to get more defensive NHL talent to help with the depth in case Smith isn't ready. But if not, at least we have something in place. So there's the positive there. But on the other side, if they're not convinced on Smith, how are they going to treat him next season? Because we've seen, I feel like that fans in general weren't thrilled with how they dealt with Boquist. And obviously, Boquist would have went to the AHL from the get if there weren't rules in place that said if he went to the AHL, he had to go back to Sweden. And, there's all these weird NHL rules for prospects. So I think he would have went to the AHL earlier, but I think a lot of people were hoping he was going to get some playing time. So I don't know. I feel like that we're being set up for disappointment and people expecting to see number 24 in red and black playing in the Prudential Center on night one. I don't know if that's as much of a guarantee as it kind of seemed like yesterday.
Yeah. He carefully answered that question. I thought he answered it very well. Basically, Ty Smith, you got to blow him away. Knocking on that door, basically blowing down that door, where he has no choice but to keep you at the big club level. So, hey, I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that, Nick. So, and that was, I was listening to that. Also, you got, Ball, in the system right now. A big guy. So there's competition there, and a little competition isn't
Ball's
hurting
going
anybody.
to the AHL. I need to stop. Ball's not making the NHL next year.
Oh, I know.
Unless he makes an absolute jump. He's talented. Don't get me wrong. He's a very smooth skater, but he's so raw. He's so raw. He got demoted at World Junior Championships this year for Team Canada. He still won the gold medal, and that's saying something, but he got demoted in lines. He lost ice time, and he was playing with kids his own age. He's big. He's very large. He brings size, and it's something that Devils definitely need, especially in the prospect pool. But I've heard a lot, and it's Sammy not the only one. And I've heard experts. I've heard some national NHL analysts bring up Ball and say, like, he's an option for next year. I just don't think that next year is the year that we're looking at Ball. I think Ball is a guy we're looking at for 2021.
Yeah, well, what I meant was competition in the AHL level, assuming that Ty Smith and Ball would be. So, but no, you're absolutely right. I don't expect both of them will be in the NHL with the NHL club right now. In terms of the captaincy, it's anyone's. It could. I think it's going to be Nico Hischier, the way Fitzgerald described with enthusiasm his leadership and him coming of age, it's no surprise that we've all noticed that, and he's a New Jersey Devil for many years, 6+ years. So I got a lot out of that interview, and I'm glad that the Devils did that. And Matt Loughlin, who's a very good interviewer, asking these questions, and they're putting this content out there. But to me, it was worth my time watching. I wasn't sure at first. I'm like, okay. No, at first I honestly thought the Q&A was going to be. I honestly thought the Q&A was going to be like with live, where I can just type in something like, "Hey, what's next year's coach?" or whatever. In the live, but in the live chat room. But obviously, that wasn't it. But I was okay with it. How would you rate it? How would you rate that?
I think that they learned from obviously watching many hours of the Let's Go Devils podcast, and that's trying to vet questions from our fans on the fly. So maybe they learned their lesson from that, and they forced everybody to send their questions out ahead of time. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say they learned from the Let's Go Devils podcast. So I appreciate you,
I
Tom Fitzgerald,
betcha.
listening. Hi, how you doing? We'll talk to you anytime. Unfortunately, we go live though, and people are going to ask questions. But I thought it was more worthwhile than I thought it was at first. I thought at first it was kind of. I even texted you. I was like, "This is a waste of time." But they started getting into the nitty gritty of it, and they started getting into things that mattered. And I thought he was honest. And I am somebody who I try to say that I'd much rather you be honest and tell me something I don't like than for you to beat around the bush. And I felt like some of the things, when talking about, I think there's some things he legitimately just doesn't know. Like he doesn't know which prospects are going to step up. So he had to use a lot of those keywords, like what was the word? I tweeted it out, but just those like the culture. He kept saying culture and how he's going to determine which young players are going to make the roster based on culture and things like that. And I felt like there's no way that you can see like none of us thought Jesper Bratt was going to make the team when he did. Nobody thought it. So there's no point in bringing up a McLeod or Quokkanen or Anderson and people like that because there's just no way to know. There's absolutely no way to know who's going to make a step in the offseason. And you could get somebody weird like Vukojevic or Zetterlund making a jump in the offseason. It all depends on who's taking this quarantine and using it to hone their skills. I did find it funny, though, when Fitzgerald said he called Nico after the backflip and told him not to do it again. that part I found funny.
Oh, yeah, because we were just talking last night on the State of the Fan address with Kyle McKenna, and we were playing that Nico backflip, all night long. And if you go to Google and type in "he sure backspace flip," you'll see the video, from last night's podcast there. Yeah, and it's the same thing exactly. It's like, Nico, settle down. We don't want you to get hurt. Otherwise, we're going to all get in trouble. And then the TikTok question, like, can you imagine Tom Fitzgerald doing a TikTok? I almost want to create a TikTok for him, take like a previous video or something like that and, manipulate it a little bit. Also, I just want to give a shout out to the Let's Go Devils podcast co-host, Scotty from SiriusXM Liquid Metal. He is watching us on the Facebook Live. Scotty's been working remotely in LA doing his SiriusXM Liquid Metal show, and I just want to give him a shout out. And if you want to listen to Scotty, SiriusXM Online is available 3 months free right now. You can download it and listen to Scotty for the next few months for free. I'm not getting paid for that endorsement. I just like Scotty's work. Anyway, also Raymond love the Ken Klee jersey behind me. Yes, I love Klee fence. Love Klee fence. I love see the Klee fence back there. We need some Klee fence on our defense. I also liked Matt Loughlin's question about the Devils of the past, and then Tom Fitzgerald going back to his playing days and what it was like, the players buying in. I liked what he was saying. He got into that player mode, and they were fit. Ken Danico was Ken Danico, but they all bought into the system that this is what is going to make us successful as a team, and this is what fans are looking for. Those that remember those glory days of the 3 Stanley Cups, should have been 5 or 6, but anyway, and I'm looking for that kind of culture. I want the players to buy in. It doesn't matter who's coach, as long as they have bought in, they work hard at it. It's a team effort. You will always win or figure a way in the end. So that's what I was kind of looking for as well in some of the conversations tonight as we're breaking news, recapping the Black and Red Banter here on the Let's Go Devils podcast network. All powered by Nova Product Design from Primetime Radio. And, I just really enjoyed that interview. It was 35, 40 minutes long. And I hope the Devils do more of it because, we're all fans here, Nick. I want more content. I mean, Amanda Stein's pushing it out. I'm sure, Chris Westcott and all them, they're pushing out content. I mean, this is very hard to do. So, and it's great for us because we get to comment on it, right, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, give me more to talk about. Give me more to blog about. Give me more to I just need things to discuss. And I mean, we're not running out of content. I have really 8 or 9 sliders that are kind of sitting in the back burner that I'm waiting to write. So, we'll figure it out. But if you want to give me, I mean, I'm right after this podcast, I'm going right about this Ty Smith situation. So, yeah, okay. Give me more to write about, give me more to talk about, give us more to talk about, and we're gonna be crushing.
Yep. Devils Hockey Baby, John says in the Facebook Live group. We want to thank everybody for joining in on our live podcast, Breaking News, recapping Black and Red Banter. You can find this available anywhere on the World Wide Web, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, SoundCloud. Well, Nick, thank you for joining. I'll be looking for your articles on Pucks and Pitchforks blog. And till next time, Devils fans, let's go Devils.